All right, we're on the Yellow Brick Road series, part 11. And this is your playbook. If you don't have a copy of this and you work in Coral Springs, please see me. I do have extra copies that I can give you. And I started working on a curriculum going back almost a month now for if I was a new real estate agent, how would I read this book in order to build a career worth having? If I was a seasoned real estate agent looking to take my business to the next level, how would I read this book in order to build a business worth owning, in order to live a life worth living? I mean, in other words, you could read this book cover to cover. By the way, is this a script? Have you guys heard me say this before? Yes. It's a script. Yes. There you go. If I were to give you this book and ask you to read it cover to cover, would you get value? Yes. Yeah, you would. And after reading this book close to 20 times, I finally realized, remember guys, I'm a little slow. So it takes me time to have these ahas. I finally realized after reading this book 20 times that there's a path to creating a success, to creating a career worth having and building a business worth owning. And I decided to create this curriculum based on here's how you should read this book. And we've titled this series the Yellow Brick Road series. Now, the reason we did that is because where does the Yellow Brick Road go? Say it louder. Oz. Does it go anywhere else? Nope. No, it goes to Oz. So I'm on a journey with a destination that is assured, which means just follow the path and you're on a journey to building a millionaire real estate business. That means you're on the path to gross $1 million, net $1 million, receive $1 million, and then finally give away $1 million. Because I walk like, talk like, look like, and have the checkbook of a millionaire real estate agent. Affirmation, write it down. All right, we're on part 11 today. And in part 11, we're going to talk about planning for and overcoming the 16 most common challenges on your way to building a business worth owning. Now, on Monday, I gave you the assignment of reading pages 217 through 261. Now, here's what I'd love for you to do. No pressure, except this is accountability. Well, maybe not. Never mind. Don't say, forget I said that because I don't want you to get distracted. If you did the homework, you know if you did or didn't, right? And I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand. I'm not going to ask you to put it in the chat because that's putting you on the spot and I don't want to do that. However, you know if you did the work or not. Now, I'm going to fly through this, which means you're going to have time to share ahas with me here in a few moments. And if you read pages 217 through 261, then you have more ahas to share with us. All right, on page 217, Gary Keller says, the thought of big business is exciting. The thought of the challenges that might be encountered along the way to big success can be frightening. Halloween, how's that? And on page 219, he shares 16 challenges that you're going to face on the path from where you are today to where you want to be. And we're going to do a deep dive into the first 5. So the first challenge you're going to face is leads. The challenge is sustaining a solid lead generation program that consistently increases the number of leads. The solution is make your daily lead generation a standard, your one thing. So leads is the first challenge that you're going to face. And the challenge is sustaining a solid lead generation program that increases the number of leads that you are getting every day. Solution. Make your daily lead generation standard your one thing. In other words, what's one thing that if I do it, will make everything else easier or not necessary? What's my one thing? My one thing is 20 conversations a day. It's focus on having care conversations, not sales conversations. It's focus on getting at least one appointment every day, getting a referral, adding at least one person to my database every single day. Scheduling at least one face-to-face appointment with someone who's thinking of selling their home every day. These are standards. The solution to the leads challenge is make your lead generation activities a standard. Simple enough. Now, the second challenge that you're going to face, page 222, is tracking and converting leads through others. Y4C2Ts. The S in Y4C2Ts is success results through people. That's your challenge. The solution is your database. If you have a database, you work your database, you look at your database, that's the solution. Now, if you don't have a database, then you're not going to be able to succeed through others. If you're not looking at your database, you're not going to be able to succeed through others. How often are you looking at your database? Are you using it in order to run your real estate business? Gary says in the middle of page 222, by this point in your career, you have well mastered the process of turning leads into closed business. Now at the bottom of the page, he says, now to navigate successfully the path from earn $1 million to net $1 million, you will need to get the same great results through your staff. Just cross out your staff and write others. I'm not a big fan of the word staff. Your teammates, your partners. You are going to have to succeed through others. At the top of page 223, he goes on to say, it begins by believing that your results can, in fact, be duplicated through others. See, if you're a successful real estate agent, you're seasoned, you've been in the business a while, and you're succeeding at a high level, you might start to think that you're the only person who could do this, that you're not going to hire a listing partner because nobody can do as good a job as you can on a listing appointment. Now, I can tell you what Gary Ubaldini found out when he hired me as a listing partner back in 2002. And this is not about me. This is about Gary, the systems of Keller Williams Realty, our training, the models that we have. It's not about me. What Gary found when he hired me as a listing partner, now the Gary and Nikki team at the time was listing 12, 15 homes every single month. And Gary Ubaldini was taking all of those listings, right? What he found when he hired me was within a very short period of time, he was able to turn that business over to me. And not only did we continue to take 12 to 15 listings every single month, we actually did better. Not only could I duplicate the results that he was getting, I actually got better results. You see, here's one of the reasons why. If I go on a listing appointment and I'm talking about me as the listing agent, it's me. Now, if I go on a listing appointment and I'm talking about Gary, here's what the Gary and Nikki team could do for you. Here's the Gary and Nikki team resume. Here's everything that we've done to help other sellers like you. I'm talking about Gary and Nikki. I can brag all day long and it's not bragging. Yet if I'm talking about me, could they perceive that as ego, arrogance, bragging? Yes, they could. Tara Carter's on the call. I saw her on here, and I know Tara Carter, when she meets with a client, she's talking about her mom, Joy Carter, the real estate rock star. Now, through the years, Tara Carter's become that rock star. And eventually, Joy Carter is talking about Tara Carter, the rock star. Is this making sense? Okay. All right. Third challenge, protecting your lead generation focused time. Challenge, day-to-day administrative service and personnel issues are going to get in the way of lead generation. In other words, your lead generation is going to create business, and that business is going to cause you to get busy, and getting busy is going to take you out of lead generation. Solution. Time block your one thing. Always time block your one thing. If it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist. If I said, D, show me your calendar, and I'm saying D because she's right in front of me on Zoom, right? So if I said, D, show me your calendar, and do you have time blocked in your calendar every day for lead generation? And if the answer is no, then it doesn't exist. And get a calendar where you can look at the weeks, 1 week at a time. All right. I know, guys, I'm super old school when it comes to this. I know that a lot of you are like, seriously, John, catch up, get into the digital age. I had somebody the other day ask me if I was going to send them a Google invite to an appointment. I'm like, what is that? I'm like, you're in my calendar. I promise you, we're going to meet at 1 o'clock. Well, I don't know what this Google invite stuff is. I really do know what it is. My point is, I want this on paper. I want to be able to look at your calendar, Maddie, and I want to see a week at a time that you have time blocked for lead generation. If it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist. Challenge. Day-to-day administrative service and personnel issues are going to get in the way of lead generation. Solution, time block lead generation. It's your one thing. If it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist. Gary Keller in Shift says, until your one thing is done, and your one thing is what?
To lead generate.
One person, lead generation. That's awesome. So until your one thing is done, everything else is a distraction. Everyone else is a distraction. All right, challenge number 4 is weighing your options, the process of discovering what works and doesn't work. Challenge, working entrepreneurially, boy, that's a hard word for me to say. Working entrepreneurially, in other words, doing what comes natural, winging it, leading with creativity. Challenge. Solution, run a purposeful, models-based lead generation business. This is an E to P conversation. Get out of entrepreneurial, get into purposeful. Run a purposeful, model-based lead generation business. All right, challenge number 5. Knowing the minimum number of seller listings you must list each month. Challenge, your monthly listings needed number is a moving target. In 2005, in order to close 4 seller listings a month, I had to take 5 seller listings a month. Right? Now, by 2007, in order to close 4 seller listings in a month, I had to take 20. You guys paying attention? That number is a moving target. Now, solution. The solution is be a student of the market, be a student of market trends and conditions, and know your numbers. You are a professional. It is your job to know the market. You are local economists of choice. You, the real estate professional, has to know the market. This is your business. All right. Give me your ahas, and not just from what we talked about today. I want to hear from a few of you who read pages 217 through 261, and tell me what you heard. Yes.
The blocking out the time is the most important thing in the entire world.
It is.
And I have a planner for the week.
1 minute, 1 minute. If you're on Zoom, just put your digital hand up and I'll call on you. Keep going, please.
So in my planner, my weekly planner provides me to put specific goals.
Uh-huh.
And so making I put 40 calls a day minimum to start off.
Okay.
You know, and so I've been slashing it off, and it's improving every week.
There you go. Yeah, what you focus on expands. Bold law. Right? Proud of you. 40 calls is a good goal. I don't know about you, but my ratio is about 1 in 3. So out of every 3 calls, I'll have 1 conversation. So if your numbers are looking anything like mine, you're probably having 12 to 14 conversations with 40 calls. Vicky and then Clarissa.
You know, it's just simple. Like you always say these things. I mean, for me, it's visual. I have to, and I'm old school. I like to have things in my journal as well, in my calendar. And if I see it as a time block, and if I see that like I have to sit down from, 10 to 11 or whatever it is, I know that I have to be accountable to myself. And I think the second part, just what you were saying at the end, it is so important for us to know these numbers. So whether you're picking up a phone and calling people, or you're going face to face with someone, wherever it is, in the store or door knocking, whatever, those numbers make a difference because we are bringing value. And that's what we always have to lead with, is just from a place of, like you always say, service, but we have to push ourselves, because if we don't push ourselves, the needle will not move. It just won't.
Love it, Vicky. Love it. Good job. Couldn't agree more. Clarissa, and then Shirley, I'm coming to you next. And no, I'm not confusing the 2 of you. I did it right this time. All right, Clarissa.
So on the path to this Yellow Brick Road.
Loud.
On the path to the Yellow Brick Road.
Yeah.
You gave us all the models as we're going through this book logically, not the way the pages are written, but logically.
Yeah.
To know and understand the models and the systems and the processes. You've taken us through all the models, and what the assignment you gave us, actually the problems, the challenges, if we're using the models correctly and the systems correctly. He outlined all the problems that we're going to run into.
Yep.
And they are so true to form because, again, we start off, we know the 3 L's. We know the economic model, the lead generation model, all of those models. But the first problem, you cannot ever stop generating leads, because the moment you do that, the moment you moved backwards and your business is not growing. And if you're not growing, you're failing. So as I started to read this, I'll be honest, I didn't get through all of it because it's so much. And you have to, when you digest this amount of information, you have to take it slowly. But I appreciate you for giving us this roadmap, because everything is really starting to make sense to me now. It's all starting to tie in and connect for me. Whereas you were giving us information and we were taking it in for however long we've been doing this. And it's just been hitting the wall and like sliding down the wall. But now it's finally sticking to me. It all makes sense. Thank you.
That was a breakthrough. Right?
Makes sense.
Right? If you look at E to P and you look at that breakthrough moment, when you break through a ceiling, there's lots of lines coming out of the ceiling. That means because you don't casually go through that ceiling, you explode through that ceiling. It's massive energy. And you can hear it in Clarissa's voice. She's had a major breakthrough.
And it's all about it. The numbers. You know, you always talk about the math, the numbers. You got to know your numbers. And with the business planning clinic, when Gene Rivers said it, it was like a light bulb just came off in my head.
There you go. Love it.
You have to know the numbers.
Have to know the numbers.
You have to know bottom line.
Present positive, future positive, present negative, future negative, and GROW or grow. Now, what I've done on the whiteboard here is I've just taken two coaching models and I've put both of them on the whiteboard for you at the same time. Now, to ignore present negative, as in everything is fine, I don't have any challenges, there are no obstacles, it's all, what does James Shaw say? It's all rainbows and unicorns. Yeah. Right. So shout out to James Shaw. This is not true. There is present negative. There's also obstacles. So what's my goal? What's the current reality? What are my obstacles? And W is what's my way forward? In other words, what's the plan to remove those obstacles? Present positive, what's going really well in my business? Future positive, where do I want to be a year from now? Where do I want to be 5 years from now? Now, what Gary Keller did on pages 217 through 261 is all he did is he created a future roadmap for you and said, hey, in case you don't know it, these are the obstacles that you're going to face. As you build your real estate business, your present negative a year from now is going to be consistently generating leads in order to continue to drive that business consistently and predictably. It's going to be succeeding through others. It's going to be protecting your lead generation time because things are going to get in the way. And what happens is when you ignore present negative and you ignore obstacles, this is where you live, future negative. Now, in order to get to future positive, we have to follow a path from present positive to present negative to future positive. You cannot, it's kind of like Monopoly. You cannot pass go. You cannot collect $200. You cannot go from present positive to future positive. It doesn't work. That's like trying to build a 20-story building by going from the foundation to the 20th floor and skipping all those other floors in between. That doesn't work. Shirley. Shirley, did I talk too long?
No, you're good.
Okay. I'm coming back to you. You're on mute. Your hand was up.
No, that's okay. It was just Clarissa said it. To me, I think you can be overwhelmed with all the information. However, if I do small tasks, just from getting a calendar and what you've taught us ever since I've been in and having it written out, it's there. I can stay focused. I have that time blocked.
Yep.
Sometimes when we're working, something else comes to mind, but if I can look at my calendar, oh, I have the time blocked to do that CMA, or I have the time blocked to run comps. It helps me to focus on what I need to do at that time. So just not to be overwhelmed with it and just to apply a little bit each step of the way, 1% better.
Love it, Shirley. Stay with me for a moment because I want to talk to you because I think you and I can have a conversation that everybody will benefit from. Are there a lot of distractions in our day?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, if you were on $1 million listing, let's say you're listing my house. It's not $1 million home, by the way. That's future positive. All right, Shirley, you're on $1 million listing. You're sitting at my kitchen table. Would you allow any distractions to get in the way between you and I having a conversation about listing my house?
Definitely not.
Right? Would you say, you know what? Can you pause for a moment? I remembered that I needed to do this. Just sit there for 10 minutes while I go send a couple emails and I'll be right back. Now, I'm being silly, but I'm making a point. Would you do that?
No.
Okay. Now, $1 million listing, the end result is you get the listing if it's paying 3% to represent one side of the transaction, you're making $30,000. Correct? Did I do the math right? That is correct, right? Now, Shirley, when you're in lead generation and you talk to 5 people, whatever your goal is, because it's your goal. Clarissa talked to 2 people yesterday and she's gotten at least 1 opportunity. If you talk to 5 people during your 2-hour time block for lead generation or your 1-hour time block, whatever it is, because it's your goal, not my goal. And if you talk to 5 people and you got 3 opportunities out of that, each paying an average of $10,000 in commission, isn't that $30,000?
Yes.
So isn't that 1 hour of lead generation just as important as that $1 million listing?
Mm-hmm.
Then why would we allow anything to take us out of that activity?
Because we don't look at it the way you just explained it.
Right. We don't. Yeah, we don't. And I'm just going to keep hammering home on this. I've given you guys plenty of analogies around this. You're in a boat, it sank 2 miles offshore, you're swimming to shore. That's your one thing. You're not going to stop and check email. You're not going to look at Facebook. You're not going to talk to the person swimming next to you about what so-and-so said in the office the other day. Did you see what she was wearing? Oh my gosh. No, you're just swimming. Yes, talk to me. Yes, you can.
So as a new agent, I want to get a lot of the small, quick money. So like the fruits that are hanging, low hanging fruits, that's what my whole company used to call it. So that would be the rentals, right?
Okay,
So because it's just quick money,
okay.
you know, how can I manage my time in a way that, because I've been planning to do a whole entire schedule and a half, but how can I manage my time so I can do some of the rentals and some of my calls?
Make it a standard. Make it a standard that you're going to go face to face with at least one person every single day that's looking to rent a property. Just make it a standard
I've been doing that.
and stick to the standard.
And then add, making the calls for buyers and listers.
Oh, yeah. That's a standard as well, right? Yeah,
That's where my money is.
the standard. Okay, just check the box. All right, good call today, guys. Thank you very much. I hope you got value. I hope you got your money's worth. Don't forget it was free. And it is time to get to work. So what's work? Work is 20 conversations, not 19, not 18, not 17. Because if I have 17 conversations because it's good enough and I settle, I didn't have the 18th conversation, that could have been $1 million listing that I didn't get because I didn't have the conversation. Make care calls, not sales calls. Always lead with gratitude. Always bring value to every single relationship. Guys, there's so much value in thank you for taking my call. Really is. And yesterday, Flint was talking about how to end the conversation. Well, there's nothing wrong with Clarissa. Thank you again for taking my call. I really enjoyed talking with you today. If there's anything I can do for you, I am always just a phone call away. Right? Lead with gratitude, bring value to every single conversation. Standards. Focus on getting an appointment. Focus on adding somebody to your database. Focus on referrals. Focus on building relationships. Find somebody today that is thinking of selling their home. Whether it's a week from now, 30 days from now, a month from now, or a year from now, doesn't matter because you're looking for opportunity, period, not just opportunity right now. Meet with somebody today that is thinking of selling their home. And then follow up forever. In the next year, when you work 50 weeks, 5 days a week, you're going to work 250 days. You're going to go face to face with 250 potential sellers. And because you follow up forever, because you reject rejection, and because no is not a word that lives in your vocabulary. No simply means not yet. When you follow up forever, people will eventually change their mind. Now remember, they won't No, I just said that wrong. They will make a new decision. Remember, people will not change their mind. What they will do is make a new decision based on new information. And when you follow up forever, you're giving them an opportunity to make a new decision based on new information coming to you, Aaron. You're creating emotional proximity, which means I'm going to hire the person who is simply closest to me when I get serious about selling my home. And because Aaron followed up forever, he created emotional proximity so that when I make a new decision based on new information, that new decision will be to hire me. There you go. All right, guys. Love it.
Thank you, John.
Always my pleasure.
Thank